As a son of the 80s and 90s, obviously my first introduction to this character that I didn't even know that existed, called Judge Dredd, was the 1995 Stallone movie that for me as a kid was another Stallone action movie, but portraying him as this futuristic superhero. Of course that I loved the whole thing. It had action, explosions, all the good stuff that we love as a kid. Flying cars, flying motorcycles, and of course, all the great fun of a comedy because of Rob Schneider. But of course, with time, I became aware that the fans of the real Judge Dredd hated this adaptation, especially because of the changes that they made. One of the big ones was Dredd revealing his face in few minutes of movie, since he's never done that in the comics. Then came a new adaptation in 2012 that I had no expectations about, but it was a great surprise that not only brought the character back in its original spirit, but for me it was a perfect action movie. So this new adaptation is directed by Pete Travis with a new version of the character, portrayed this time by Carl Urban. And the movie already gets right the old commandment that you shall never show the face of Dredd. And this is something that shows a lot of courage of the actor Carl Urban for pulling it off without the whole vanity idea that actors have, that they need to show their faces all the time. And then you have the actress Olivia Thirlby, I'm not sure how I pronounce her name, but okay, that portrays the Judge Anderson, who is this mutant character that joins the police force of Mega City 1, and she is in her first mission as a partner of Dredd. By the way, her mutant power is to read people's minds and see their memories. As the other cast members, we also have the actress Lena Headey, who is very famous for Game of Thrones, but my great memory from her is from the TV show Sarah Connor Chronicles, the Terminator TV show that I really loved as a teenager. And here she plays the main villain called Mama. That's right, Mama. And she's a great villain here because she really is a and also the boss of a drug dealer gang that spreads the drug slow-mo on the streets. We'll talk later about this drug. And in a very small role, we also have the actor Domhnall Gleeson, who was also in many great movies like Star Wars or The Revenant. And here he plays this tech guy who works for Mama, but at the same time is constantly tortured by her. So to give a base about the story of this movie here, let's talk a little about the comics. Released by a publishing company called 2000 AD, we have a future where the justice system is applied in a different way. Instead of the bureaucratic system of arrest, processing, judgment, and condemnation, here we have the judges that execute all this process at once. So they arrest, judge, and sentence the criminals right away. And in this justice system, you have Judge Dredd that is basically the incorruptible cop, extremely faithful to the laws. And this is also the base for the movie, but without any origin story. We just have a description from Judge Dredd himself in the beginning of the movie of how the system works and the law is applied in Mega City 1, the city that he protects. A city that in the comics and in the Stallone movie, it's portrayed much more as a cyberpunk metropolis than in this movie. Here the whole thing is adapted to be a little more grounded, dirty, closer to our reality. And in this city that we have the residential complex Peach Trees, where the whole plot is gonna unravel. So Judge Dredd comes to answer a call about some drug dealers that were thrown from the top of the tower, because Peach Trees has many levels with hundreds of apartment complexes. And for this task, he takes Judge Anderson with him, that besides being on her first mission, she's also been evaluated by Judge Dredd to see if she is a capable judge for the future. And upon answering the call, they find the bodies of these drug dealers that were thrown from the top of the tower, but also discover that they were skinned alive by Mama before being thrown, and also drugged with a new substance called slow-mo, which is a drug that makes people see things in slow motion, plus with beautiful and bright colors in their minds. So these men were drugged with the slow-mo drug in order to feel the pain of having been skinned for hours during their fall before hitting the floor. And that, my friend, is real cruelty. So during their mission, the judges discover that there is a network of drug dealing inside the complex, being controlled by Mama. Knowing that she's screwed if more judges come to the complex as a backup to Dredd, Mama decides to close and seal the whole complex of peach trees, trapping Dredd and Anderson inside so they don't leak the information of the drug dealings inside the place. And in a very threatening manner, she also puts all the criminals from peach trees to go after the two judges and kill them both, announcing in the speakers of the building, "You can run or stay where you are, judges. It won't make any difference." And this is where the movie becomes one of my favorite subgenres of action movies, a siege movie. And the greatest examples of this subgenre is Die Hard, of course, The Raid's Redemption, which is one of the best action movies ever made, and if you didn't watch, when you do, you will have the same opinion, and some of John Carpenter's movies like Assault on Precinct 13, and according to him, even The Thing is a siege movie. And the greatest asset of this kind of movies is that you feel the tension at every move of the heroes, and if the story is very well written, these characters have to find very creative ways to fight for their survival. And this is what happens in Dredd, because not only the plot develops these very high-stakes obstacles for them to go through, but also develops both of these characters very well. Dredd is this one-dimensional guy, but he is a badass. That's what he's all about. Even though the siege closes more and more around the main characters, you never feel that he is not in the control of the situation. He always knows what to do and improvises in the best way possible. Like Judge Anderson says in the beginning of the movie, this is a guy that only has two things in his mind, anger and control. But he wouldn't have success in his mission if he wasn't for the partnership with Anderson herself. Because she is a very deep character that decided to use her mutant powers to help in the police force, and these powers proved to be very useful to always maintain her and Judge Dredd ahead in the game against these criminals. Plus, the movie develops very well this whole tutor and apprentice relationship without going to the whole sentimental thing that some other movies do. It's a little more dry, but the chemistry works very well. There are some great lines between them two. For example, in one scene that Judge Anderson explains why she doesn't wear a helmet, saying that a helmet will interfere with her powers, and he just replies, "A bullet will interfere much more." I love it. So the dialogues are perfect in this movie, but the action also doesn't disappoint. It's not as extravagant as the Stallone movie, full of explosions and all that stuff. Here things are much more brutal. We have blood, heads, and body parts exploding. And as a good siege movie, all the structure and geography of the location is very well used. The action goes through many different locations of the place, with many different villains from various gangs, and a fight between judges. Because we even have that second layer of story here. There are corrupt judges that are summoned by Mama to fool the two heroes and kill them. So the script always plays with these story turns to challenge the heroes, which causes a great evolution of character in Judge Anderson, because in the beginning she starts as this insecure judge that may commit many mistakes, but she gains a lot of confidence during the plot until becoming a badass alongside Dredd in the end. And here comes the greatest thing about this character here, which is something we have to thank the screenwriters for not doing, because I know that if this was a Marvel movie, they would probably make her the funny sidekick, full of quips and comedy to make the tone lighter. But since this is a real movie, there's no such bullshit like that here. But the main show here is the confrontation between Dredd and Mama, and here we have the two characters teasing each other and showing that they are not fooling around. My favorite scene comes in a moment that Mama uses a huge machine gun to shoot at the judges and destroys a big part of the complex just to try to get them, and once she sends a group to see if the judges are dead, Dredd answers by getting one of these guys and throwing him from a huge level of the building and turning his back to her, sending a message, "Yeah, I'm still alive." So the movie is filled with these fuck yeah moments all around, until the final confrontation between Dredd and Mama that ends exactly like that, in a fuck yeah moment that is hard to forget. I won't give too many spoilers, but let's just say that if you hate a villain like Mama, just like I did, it will be very satisfying for you too. And this is Dredd. The best thing about this movie, plus all the things that I already mentioned, is that the whole thing is just 1 hour and 35 minutes. What a beauty. I love when movies get to be this short because they are so tight in the story and the script that you don't need anymore. And the best thing is that the whole story, this whole journey inside Peach Trees that was basically a hell for the characters, is portrayed in the end as just another day at the office. There are many other stories that could be told with this character played by Karl Urban. Unfortunately, this is one of those movies that were treated unfairly. It wasn't a hit at the box office, and till today, we haven't had a sequel, which is a crime. But anyway, at least we have this forgotten classic that must be remembered and celebrated as the fucking awesome action movie that it is. And this is it. What do you think about Dredd? Do you like it as I do? Comment below. And don't forget to leave your beloved like in this video. And if you are liking the content of Trashing with Gus, please don't forget to leave your most welcomed subscription in the channel so we can keep trashing forever. Alright? See you in the next trashing video, and bye bye.